I'm Nahid Kabbani, and this is the Lighthouse for today's viewers. Welcome to our show. Today, we didn't get a chance to be in Access Sacramento. That's why we are here in the most peaceful, lovely office we can do a show in it. We are at the office of Citizen Business Center. It's a nice atmosphere for this holiday season, and nice to have you with us. Today, we'll talk about what we have been accomplished for this past year, and we'll say goodbye to this year, and we'll say hello, welcome next year with better hope to have better time. Today we have a group of organizations working with the field of peace, because we all looking forward to have peace around the world. So let's us understand and meet people who are really working hard for this goal, for this peace. Let's welcome first Ms. Lauren. Welcome to our show.
Thank you.
Will you please introduce yourself and your organization?
Sure. Well, thank you, Nahid, for inviting me here, and Adib, it's great to be with you. I wanted to tell you a little bit about Compassionate Capital Region. My name is Laura Hansen, and I'm one of the co-founders, the other co-founder being Joan Marie. And Compassionate Capital Region is part of an international organization called Charter for Compassion. And the International Compassionate Cities Initiative, it's a lot of C's, is about 350 cities around the world.
Oh.
I know, it's exciting. Each city has decided that they want to be in communication and relationship with itself.
Uh-huh.
So each city forms a coalition of elected officials and all the other sectors of the community to have an ongoing conversation about how do you create a caring city? How do you create a city where we understand each other enough so that we can make decisions that serve everyone? And it's a long process, but simply having the space for that conversation within a community, it raises people's spirits. It changes how we view our neighbor, and it gives us a new framing of how to look at community development, policing, innovation, how we work with each other within the community just on a daily basis. So it's very exciting right now in Sacramento with the inauguration of Mayor Darrell Steinberg, who is very enthusiastic about civic and community engagement. And Compassionate Capital Region has been in conversation with his office over the summer. We're meeting with them again on how we can collaborate on his Sacramento, Giving Back SAC, I believe, which is the city, the Center for Civic Innovation. And we're also working with Greater Sacramento Economic Council on that community piece that fits in with the economic development. So it's really a great time for 2017 on this bringing the city together and really learning about each other so we can build a very strong culture.
That's wonderful.
So, yeah, it's going to be an exciting year. So thank you for having me.
Welcome to our show.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us. And we have nice information now. Let's see what we have more for our viewers.
My pleasure.
Mr. Adib.
Well, thank you for inviting me for this opportunity to speak about our organization. My name is Adib Al-Zanoun, And I'm here actually on behalf of two organizations. I am a member of the Palestine American League, which is here in Sacramento. As well, I am the chair right now for the Sacramento Regional Coalition for Palestinian Rights. Basically, our organization is a coalition, and it comprises of 26 organizations from the greater Sacramento area. Most of the organizations are here in Sacramento, but some of them are like from Davis, from Grass Valley, and they all come together for one thing. It's about advocating for human rights, civil rights, particularly the Palestinians, whether they are in occupied Palestine or in Israel or the diaspora. So this is where all these organizations come together as a coalition for human rights in particular.
That's wonderful. So you are in Sacramento and the neighborhood area.
Yes, we are in the greater Sacramento area. Like I mentioned, we have, for example, the Davis Committee for Palestinian Rights, which is in Davis. We do have an organization as well for Palestinian rights in Grass Valley. This is just to give you an idea how the greater Sacramento area is coming together to help.
I believe next year will be the Balfour Declaration, 100 years of that.
Yes, the infamous Balfour Declaration that gave someone who does not deserve the land of someone who was living there. And basically I'm referring to the indigenous Palestinians that were living in Palestine during the Ottoman Empire, which is the extension of the 1800s into the 1919, and that's when Balfour promised basically the Jews that live outside Palestine, the Jews that lived in Palestine they own only 5% of Palestine, along with a larger percentage for the Christians, and the largest percentage is for Muslims. That Balfour Declaration promised the Jews outside of Palestine, in Europe and the diaspora, of a homeland.
A homeland, not this homeland.
A homeland,
yes.
And then it got changed to being Palestine, to become the homeland. And of course, with that Balfour Declaration, everything was put together to work to accomplish this objective. And unfortunately, it was not an empty land, which would have been fine. It was already flourishing with civilization in Jaffa, in Haifa, in Akka. Those were cities that flourished, that had people that lived there, Jews, Muslim, and Christians living all together. And the Balfour Declaration really did this service for the humanity, I think, by kicking out the indigenous people who lived there to make room for the Jews outside of Palestine.
But as far as I remember, and maybe your dad remember, that we used to live in Palestine, Christian, Muslim, Jews, and in the land named Palestine for all. It's a holy land for three religions.
Yes, and this is how we grew up, and this is actually when my grandfather was talking about his neighbor in Gaza, and everyone knew that he's Jewish, and there's another one that was Christian, and
nobody asked for religion.
No, it was
Palestinian
neighbors.
Yes, neighbors, like America.
Yeah, he told me so many stories.
All over the world, American, not you are from this area. Your religion is this. You are not American.
Exactly,
you
they
are
were all
American
Palestinians.
Yes.
Palestinians that lived there. Even the letter that promises that land to be given, or to be the land of Israel, it was called, "We will grant the land of Palestine." The word Palestine is written. And that's,
I believe Israel, the name of the son of.
yeah, I mean,
it's not a land name.
It's never been an exclusive for one particular religion or one particular creed or race. It is a land for all, And as Palestinian, part of my family is a refugee from Jaffa that were hurled in buses and became refugees in Gaza in 1948 when they established the State of Israel. It is very hard to forget.
Refugees in the same country, in their own country,
Yes,
from place
it is
to
very
place.
hard to fathom or to reckon that this is happening to many people, thousands and thousands of Palestinians. That ultimately they're not forgetting that they live there, they have the keys to their homes, and this is their land. And it was they were unfairly kicked out. I mean, I lived in Antelope for 17 years. Somebody comes in and kicks me out just because I don't belong or I don't fit in there, not because I didn't pay my mortgage. I will never forget that. I mean, I want my house back. I'm not going to forget it. So.
I believe the excuse what they have to be there, they said God gave us the land. Do you think Balfour become a God to give the land back?
No. I think these are just what we call the Hasbara. It's the propaganda of how to convince people that this was rightfully mine and this was a divine power. God never played the role of a real estate agent to start with. If we are humans, then God is the same. Allah, God is the same for all of us. And it is an unjust thing that happened, and I don't think Palestinians are forgetting. They want their rights. They want to be treated equal, and this is what we do at the coalition. We raise the issue of that there is an apartheid going on in Palestine. There are more than 30 set of rules that separates how to deal with a Muslim, an Arab, even a Jew who is originally from there, or a Jew from the Arab countries, or a Jew from Europe. This is by itself a value that the U.S. does not stand for, and the world does not stand for. It is when you have two sets of rules, two sets of criteria that you deal with people, that means it's an apartheid. In Hebron, for example, it's very obvious. If any of my fellow Americans visit, or anyone else, they will see that there are divided roads. This road you can walk on, this road you can't walk on. It's exactly what South Africa suffered from. Roads for white, roads for black. You can't, And I don't think we are in the 21st century that we can accept something like this at this point. So again, we have a great group of people that believe in equality, believe in civil rights, believe in what's right, what's wrong, in terms of humanity. And they all work together. They're all coming together to raise awareness here locally in the U.S. and nationally. We use Facebook, we use all kinds of media outlets and social media to highlight the suffering of the Palestinians.
One point I'd like to raise before we finish this part. Jesus born in Palestine, in Bethlehem. Jesus born there as Christian, as Christianity also. They are fighting in Christianity now. We will talk about it maybe in the other part, because the time is
no problem.
over for this time.
Thanks.
So we'll be back to that point. Thanks. Let's have a break and we will be back.
You're watching The Lighthouse for today's viewers, brought to you by oneworldforyou.org.
Welcome back. Let's focus on the last part. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to understand with our viewers about the issues of
As far as the last question that you asked me with regard to who is really suffering from the occupation situation under the rule of Israel, it is absolutely not a religion issue, because who is suffering under that is not only Muslims. the Christians as well, who are Palestinians, are suffering and facing the same unfair rule where they are discriminated against. There are rules that prevent them from building or expanding their homes in Jerusalem or doing the necessary improvement. So they are faced with a situation where they have to leave, or they are forced to leave. Mm-hmm. So the issue is it's not for Muslims, it's not for Christians. Even that another thing that people don't know, there are a sect or a part of the Israeli Jews. They're called the Ashkenazi Jews, mm-hmm. Israeli citizens, and they are pro-Palestinian. They don't believe in what the government is doing against mm-hmm. Christians and Muslims, and they are being punished by the Israelis because of their actions or their support for Palestinians and Christians in Jerusalem in particular. The issue of that this land is a Jewish land and it only belongs to Jews, it's troublesome, because how could you be a democratic state mm-hmm. and it's only for one sect of religion? It's like saying the U.S. is only for Christians. That's a troublesome. So that's really terrible situation. Thank you for that. So thank you for hearing my perspective. And this is, our organization again is the Sacramento Regional Coalition for Palestinian Rights, and we have a Facebook and we have a website, SAC for Peace, and hopefully the viewers can go and look at it. Thank you very much. You're welcome. Thank you. So let's focus on another organization sharing with us. Dr. Malika will explain to us what is ILIT. Welcome to our show.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kabbani, for your
introduce you
invitation
and your organization.
Sure. My name is Malika Popal. I'm a medical doctor from Afghanistan. I graduated in 1986 from Afghanistan Medical School, and I served for 30 years in different positions in Afghanistan, leading some institutions. And I just arrived in the United States as Humphrey Fellows and continue my work to support Afghan and Arab refugees in my latest position as a president of RIHLA. Uh-huh. RIHLA is founded in June 2016. As a frontline refugees organization, RIHLA will try to help traumatize war refugees, but mainly for Arab and Afghan refugees in Sacramento.
So you deal with Arab and Afghan?
Yes, it's a frontline refugee support organization that works for Afghan and Arab refugees in Sacramento.
That's wonderful. So welcome to Sacramento and welcome to our show.
Thank you very much.
And putting hands together will help the whole situation.
Sure, exactly.
Thank you for coming to our show today. Welcome to our show, Ms. Brigitte. Will you please introduce yourself and your organizations to our viewers?
Yes, my name is Brigitte Jensch, and I'm here talking about Sacramento Bethlehem Sister City. Sacramento Bethlehem Sister City is one of 11 sister cities that Sacramento has with cities around the world. And our focus is primarily interactions between people here in the United States, in Sacramento, and people in Bethlehem in Palestine. So we try to educate, and education and interaction and friendship is really the focus of everything that we do. We're particularly proud that one of the projects that we recently sponsored has gotten recognition. Some children's books that we helped come into being. 2 of the 5 that we helped have gotten prizes in the Emirates for Arabic children's literature. We're very proud of that. And actually this month, the month of December 2016, we are featuring these 5 children's books that we helped come into being by displaying them in the Art Endemic Library here in Sacramento, and we displayed them at the Arcade Library in October. We're also happy about the graduation of one of our scholarship recipients. Rana graduated last year. She has a degree in chemistry. And 2 of the 3 scholarship recipients this year are studying midwifery. Mm-hmm. So we think that midwives are very needed in Bethlehem and the region, and so we're sponsoring that. And so those are the kinds of things that Sacramento Bethlehem Sister City focuses on. We encourage people to travel to Bethlehem and to the region to see things firsthand. And we've done other projects as well, but I think maybe those 3, for examples, give you an idea of what our particular Sister City friendship with Bethlehem is all about. Just in closing, I'd like to say that we're very happy that just a few days ago, on the 13th of December this year, the city of Boulder in Colorado was able to have its friendship with Nablus in Palestine formalized with a city council vote in Boulder. That was about a 5-year effort on the part of those folks to get the city council to acknowledge the friendship that already existed. So we're very proud of them. They were one of our partners in getting the children's books created. So we already have and this is our logo, and you see the hands clasped, the Sacramento and Bethlehem hands coming together. And I want to say that the young woman who created this is a Palestinian woman, Lara Kizwani, and the woman who did the Arabic translation for us is a Palestinian American woman as well, Amanda Batarse. So
this is olive leaves.
Olive leaves, right. Yes. Very important for the whole.
I believe you take care of the embroidery also.
Yes, we're very focused on embroidery. I just show our brochure. It shows a young American woman who spent some time on our extended friendship stay in the Bethlehem region, and this is a friend she has. And in our brochure here, we show that in Sacramento, between the two buildings of the City Hall, there is this sign which includes street signs, but the street signs point to cities that are sister cities with Sacramento, and it points in the direction of the sister city and indicates how many miles it is to that sister city. So.
That's wonderful.
Okay.
What about the other organization?
Okay, the other organization, so I'm one of the founding members of Sacramento Bethlehem Sister City, and I'm on the executive board. I'm also on the board of Sacramento Area Peace Action. That's a much older organization. It's been active in Sacramento since 1983, and one of the focuses of that is working to end U.S. militarism. And of course, the military budget for the United States is extraordinarily high, the highest in the entire world. And as we're seeing now, much of the expenditure for military is causing deprivation among people in the United States. And that's something that we've been focusing on for many, many years. So what we specifically do depends on the volunteers who are part of our organization, and also the types of speakers that we can engage to come and provide information to the community, or other kinds of activities that we engage in. A particular emphasis right now is trying to create partnerships, coalitions, alliances, whatever you want to call it, with other organizations, with Black Lives Matter, with Veterans for Peace, organizations that have the same kind of goals as we do. We have a group that goes into the schools to explain to young people that going into the military is not their only career opportunity in life, and we help them understand that there are other options available to them. That's one of the particular focuses. Every week on Tuesday, late afternoon, we have a vigil at the corner of 16th and J Streets. And depending on what the interests are of the people who are out there on the corner holding up signs for something or other, that determines what the sign says. So
Good reminder.
a good reminder, and we're getting some new signs because currently there is a great resurgence of interest in the kind of work that we do. During the Obama administration, I think people felt a little bit compelled to be more silent because there was hope that things would become better. Unfortunately, that was not particularly the case, and now things are even less hopeful than they were before. However, I think that there is a great energy in the United States among folks who want to work together to make things better. And I should also say that Sacramento Area Peace Action is part of a national organization that has 100,000 members across the United States. So each of the groups that belong to this national organization have a little bit different focus and so forth. But in general, what started out originally many years ago as an organization to try to denuclearize the world, not have nuclear weapons, has now broadened its focus to include anti-militarism, environmental sustainability, the fact that citizens should not be killed wantonly by the police. Those kinds of things are all the concerns that we have now. Sorry to have talked so long.
That's really wonderful.
I didn't even come up for air.
That's okay. Thank you for coming, and thank you for sharing your thoughts and your efforts with us.
Let me just end by one thing that I should have mentioned. We have a calendar, and this is really not just a Sacramento Area Peace Action calendar. It's a community action calendar, and we encourage folks to have their events listed on our calendar. We do publish a newsletter every month, but our activities calendar is updated on the website and so forth. That's sacpeace.org, SACPEAC.org. And of course, Sacramento Bethlehem has a website, sacramentobethlehem.org. And so we're available electronically and in person in the community. Thank you.
Thank you for coming and sharing your thoughts, and we are looking forward to have Unity for Humanity, all hands together.
Thank you for inviting me, Nahid, and I'm very appreciative and aware of all the good work that you do in our community and the efforts that you put forth to bring people together and to understand the issues that face us all. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. We'll be back soon. Welcome back. We have also in our show tonight Mr. David for Jewish for Peace. Let's introduce yourself for our viewers, please.
Sure. My name is David Mandel, and thank you for inviting me, Nahid. I'm involved in a local chapter of an organization called Jewish Voice for Peace. It's a very fast-growing national organization that is dedicated. It's a membership organization and grassroots. It's dedicated to changing U.S. policy to support a solution that will bring justice and peace for Israeli Jews and Palestinians in Israel-Palestine. Based on equality, human rights, international law. We are opposed to the occupation of the West Bank, where we support equality for all within however many countries will exist there in the future. That's up to the people who live there to decide. And we support the human rights of all people, including especially the Palestinians, which is being denied right now. They're living under occupation in the West Bank, under Jim Crow-like discrimination within Israel, with a blockade that's really creating a devastating situation in Gaza, plus Palestinian refugees who are scattered all over the world, many of them in desperate straits in places that are themselves under conflict right now, like Syria, for instance. are unable to return to their homeland. So we support those rights and look forward to a future where that will happen. And as United States citizens, we're dedicated to trying to influence our country to change its policies to support those kinds of solutions. But we've also become more and more aware in recent years that that struggle is connected with many other struggles, the struggles of other peoples in the world for democracy and for human rights, struggles right here at home for equality, for justice, against police brutality, for rights of Native Americans and other indigenous people throughout the world. So we're very much into allying with all of those folks in ways that we can support each other's struggles and create a better world.
Thank you for that service. In fact, we need it badly because there is injustice situation in so many places, and as Jewish for voice for peace is very important to be loud and clear, especially in the United States, because they think they own the situation and they can direct that. So you can play that role.
Yeah, for too long it's been assumed and propagated by some of the conservative elements of the Jewish institutional world that to be Jewish means that you have to fall in line and support Israeli government policies no matter what it does. And we think that many, many Jews in the United States don't support that at all. And in fact, more and more, particularly the younger generation, understand that support for human rights and justice needs to be indivisible, and that it's not anti-Jewish to criticize any government's policy. They all need to be held to account and improved and changed when necessary.
I believe, I feel this is the Holy Land. I believe it's nice to have it for all religions open, like Vatican or something like this. Is it right or no?
Well, every country in the world has to have democracy and equality and freedom for anybody equal rights for anybody who lives in there. One of our slogans, it's a little bit tongue-in-cheek maybe, is that all land is holy and all people are chosen. And we really believe that. But Israel and Palestine is, in fact, a homeland that's claimed by two peoples, the Israeli Jews who live there and Palestinians who lived there before the coming of the settler colonialist phenomenon of Zionism. And what we need to work on is a future where they can share that country as equals with full rights for everybody.
But you mentioned that they lived in Palestine, Israeli-Palestinian. It wasn't Israeli, they were Jews.
There were Jews who lived there before.
Israeli,
yeah,
Jews and Palestinian and Christian.
Right. There were Jews who identified more religiously and also ethnically as Jews who lived there before the coming of the Zionist movement. But a lot of people who came with the Zionist movement they themselves were also refugees and who needed a homeland. And many of the Palestinian Arabs who lived there did welcome them as guests, as even to come and to share the country. What the problem was when you had a movement that wanted to take over the whole country and either expel or eliminate many of the people from the native population that was there. That's not okay anywhere, and it wasn't okay in Palestine and what's now become Israel. But all the people who are there need to figure out a way to live in equality and with justice for everybody.
Thank you for that explanation. So many people, they don't understand the situation. That's why we try to explain it. Any other organization you address today?
Well, I'm involved in a number of organizations, and they're all connected as far as I'm concerned. As a human rights public interest attorney, I'm involved in the National Lawyers Guild, which is a progressive national organization of attorneys, legal workers, law students, working for justice. Here in Sacramento, the group is just forming a new actual official chapter. And most of the activities that people do here in Sacramento is defending the civil rights of folks who are out on the streets demonstrating, organizing and training legal observers. I do that sometimes. I'm more involved on the national level in the what's called the International Committee, and there's a Palestine subcommittee of the International Committee where we're involved in in a lot of taking legal positions, legal analysis, sometimes engaged in litigation to defend the free speech rights, for instance, of students who are often told that they can't advocate for Palestinian rights on campuses. There's a whole big effort to try to shut them down. So a lot of what we do is defending their rights, and that's happening here in California as much as, or even more than anywhere, but also involved in, for instance, challenging the tax-exempt status of organizations that are organized as nonprofits, where they're supporting illegal Israeli settlements in the occupied territories, for instance, or the Jewish National Fund, which does similar things, which collects tax-exempt donations, which means U.S. taxpayers are paying for these illegal activities. That's contrary to even existing U.S. policy, as questionable as it is. So we're involved in lots of different things along those lines nationally, and I do my part locally. Both of those groups and about 25 others are part of the Sacramento Regional Coalition for Palestinian Rights, which is a high priority for my activity. I lived in Jerusalem for about 10 years, and I'm in fact a dual citizen of the United States and Israel, and I was involved in things there, in the opposition there, as much as I am here. So I have that connection that kind of explains why this is a top priority in my life.
I thank you very much, and I appreciate being with us today, really, to say goodbye to this year. Hopefully next year will be...
2016 has been a problematic year. We hope 2017 will be better.
Peace for all kind of
Well, thank you for doing this, and
You're
sharing
welcome.
information about all these great groups with the public.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for doing this.
You're welcome. So, Ms. Kate, now we have the top of the show. We have the United Nations Association with us. And I let her listen to you to have some information about what's going on around us. So what do you have in your pocket to let people know about the United Nations Association?
Well, just a little background. The United Nations was formed in 1945 after the Second World War, and the term United Nations was coined by President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And we have about 193 member states at the moment. To become a member of the United Nations, it needs to be voted in by the General Assembly with recommendations by the Security Council. And one of my favorite points of the United Nations is their adoption of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which gives fundamental rights that you need to be universally protected to all human beings. The right to an education and health and their general well-being. So what the United Nations Association does, and I'm president of the Sacramento chapter, is we advocate on behalf of the United Nations and their diplomatic efforts. So we have about over 135 community chapters in the United States, and 11 of those chapters are here in Northern California, so we are very, very active. Another thing we do is every year we go to Washington, D.C., and we visit with our legislators, and we encourage them to fully support and pay the dues in full to the United Nations. We also have asked them to support bills that support the Sustainable Development Goals, that are goals that will hopefully be reached by the year 2030, and they include things like clean water, clean air, no more poverty, quality education. So we are hoping that the United States will lead the world by example, and that our organization can help lead the way.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
So we are at the end of the year, and before we say goodbye, we should focus on the next year, coming year, especially because we have a new elected president also. And to me, I see the new presidency working with very, very, very rich people.
Right.
So how they will look to the poor people after all.
Right.
I feel we invest in war and weapons for maybe 100 years since Palestine-Israeli issue started.
Yes.
We are in that field. We are making money left and right. Oh. What if we push the subject to invest in humanity this year?
Yes. Yes.
Because if we focus on helping the new immigrants, the new refugees, the poor people, as you mentioned, no more people, poor people, we have to work harder a little bit. And we have to go to their level, not waiting for them to learn English, ESL, then to learn how to live in this country, how many years they need. Yeah. They come from other side of the world, and they are old, not easy to learn like child.
Right.
And this is struggle by itself.
Oh.
And if they live with no dignity for a long time, it's not healthy for us to have them in our country with the anger inside of them.
No.
We will be the loser after all.
Yeah.
So to me, if we invest in humanity and help those people, we create jobs for them, and they can make living and help each other with their language, with their background. They will take the heat out of our shoulder and the load out of the government shoulder, and they will be happier, and we will be actually investing in the right things.
That's correct. And you have actually already started doing this by bringing together organizations that shine a light on the horrific atrocities that have been perpetuated on refugees. And we have many refugees that have been settled here in Sacramento, and they deserve our help, our respect. They deserve their dignity back. And I want to thank you personally for bringing all of us together so we can understand them and build bridges and make our communities more rich and diverse and give them a chance at a better life. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Actually, I am one of the refugees, early refugees from Palestine. So I know what does that mean. I feel the pain, what they have.
Wow.
Now I am involved with education. That's why I'm mentioning education. I hear their story, their struggle, in their language. I felt my pain come back, and that's what I don't need it for myself, and I don't like it for themselves to struggle. And I know we are generous enough. Our country, our people are so generous to feel that pain and help faster. And I know everyone from my friends, either Toastmasters or Access Sacramento or in any other place, they ask me what to do. If you need help, call us, please. So they are ready to help, but we need to plan for them, and we need the help for us to help the people.
Yes.
And that's your turn as United Nations Association.
Right.
That's why I'm asking to study the situation and do something for that.
Absolutely. And we are anxious to, and we are prepared to speak out and have a very strong voice in regards to the refugees and all human rights. Our Sacramento chapter is stronger than ever, and we have wonderful people who have just joined our board who are committed to human rights, to sustainable development, to encouraging millennials to be more active and to get a plan together to help those in need.
That's wonderful. Good to hear that, and thank you for your efforts also.
Thank you.
And hopefully we'll put hands together,
Yes.
unity for humanity.
Yes.
Really, it's worth it.
It is.
Thank you so much for helping us to understand and help people, also my viewers, to be able to share if they can.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. We'll be back soon. We'll come back. Before we leave, we have to send you a special goodbye for this year. All together, like the bouquet of flowers in Sacramento and in the whole America, as a symbol of the word, all colors, all languages, all backgrounds in the whole world. And we carry a lot of stories, but we care about the human being. It has been a long 100 years since the story of Balfour Declaration and Palestinian-Israeli issues. We were investing in war and weapons, and hopefully we will start to invest in humanity. For me, as a personal message, it happened that I have been living for 3/4 of century. And Queen Elizabeth, Her Majesty also, she is a grandmother for the new kid named Aiden. It happened, her daughter-in-law named Kate, and I have a daughter now named Kate. And I have a great-grandson named Aiden. So me and Queen Elizabeth are sisters, and hopefully we will feel that sistership, and we will be real sister, love each other, and live for this world. Before we leave it, some kind of peace through you, Your Majesty. You can do something before you go for 2 Aidens, living in peace after us. It's your turn, my daughter, to give us message for United Nations Association.
Well, I have a message to the President-elect and our world leaders. You have been given the highest honor and most awesome responsibility, which is to protect and help build a peaceful and prosperous society. Your own interests matter not at all anymore, for you've been elevated to lead by your moral and ethical example. When you discard or bomb or murder another human being, their blood is on your soul. You may think you are powerful by controlling others through violence, but the reality is that you are sowing seeds of bitterness and despair and hatred. And your momentary feelings of satisfaction and power will forever become weakness and failure. What our country and the world needs going forward is a focus on peace. These are the things that we expect from the President of the United States and world leaders. Think of consequences before you act. Seek to understand your adversary's point of view, because this will build bridges of communication, and ideas can flow back and forth. Stand up for every injustice, especially against those who are disadvantaged and cannot defend themselves. Do not look the other way when violence is used to humiliate and degrade others. Support people and organizations that work for peaceful solutions. This will always be the right choice. Seek to educate the people you are leading. The past thinking was that keeping citizens uneducated and misinformed, it would be much easier to control them. But instead, let's do something new. Let's focus on enriching our economy with bright, creative problem solvers from diverse populations, and you will be seen as honorable, as respectable, and smart. This has been a dark time for Americans and citizens of the world, and we need the light of hope. Destiny is in your hands. As Eleanor Roosevelt said, the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams, and I choose to believe in the dream of world peace. And I know it is possible, and I will never give up. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let's put hands together and please come back. And promise to do our best for peace, to be able to live peacefully and happily. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
Yay!
Thank you all.